We are super excited today to have Heather on our show. Heather and I go way back, so far back. I think it was before social media, before phones. I think there might have been some pagers around. I'm really excited to have Heather on the show. It's been a minute since we've had the chance to catch up. And she's a badass mom, and she's got a lot of good shit going on. And we are really excited to have you on the show today, Heather.
Okay, thanks for having me, ladies. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's kick things off. Kind of give us a little bit of background about you and about being a mom and where you are and how you got there. And then we'll kind of dive in from there.
Oh my gosh. So I guess we'll just start way back in the day when I first met you. You actually knew my then husband because we were all playing hockey together at the roller rink.
That's right.
Got married kind of young, 21.
How young were you? You were
21.
Yeah, you were young.
Yeah, met Kyle when I was 16. Mm-hmm. You learn things as you go through life when you're dating an older man.
And how much older was he, Heather? He was
7 years.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like ready for that next stage of life.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, back then he wasn't as introverted as he has become. Mm-hmm. And I've always been on the extrovert side. Yeah. So I'm like, oh no, everything's fine. Nothing's going to change. Yeah. And then guess what happens? You grow up, you grow apart. I got two awesome boys out of the whole thing. We co-parent really well. Yeah. It's a good thing to show our kids that yes, you can still have that relationship with an ex. There's no like bickering back and forth, mm-hmm. which is awesome. And then, getting divorced right before, what was I? I think it was like 33 when everything was final. Okay. So we had separated, we got back together. We're like, well, let's try and do it for the kids. Well, that everyone tries that, but really in the end, if you are not happy, those kids aren't going to be happy. So you got to show them, what it's like to be in a loving relationship and have that affection, and you go, to the ends of the earth for the other person, because then that reflects onto their relationships with their girlfriends coming up. So, that was scary.
I'm a child of my parents did that. They stayed together for us. And I've talked about it on here before, but I didn't know they were unhappy. But when I found out that they had been unhappy for all those years, I was so pissed off. And to your point, I was like, well, how am I supposed to know what a good relationship is? Mm-hmm. And of course, now with perspective, I know that they were doing the best they could, that they thought it was the right thing. But anybody that says like, well, we're just going to stay together for the kids, I'm like, let me give you a different perspective from the kids' point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that part, and then getting married super young, it does work for a certain type of person. Mm-hmm. I look back on it and, my son had a fairly serious relationship. She went to college. She stayed with him for a little while. And I'm like, I get it. It's your first love. Yeah. It's a learning thing. You learn from bits and pieces from each relationship to take you into that, the forever one. Yeah. So I think for me, that's how, I met my now husband, over 10 years ago. And it's been amazing. You want that person to actually highlight you and bring out the best in you and not shelter you from things because they're jealous or nervous about what might be out there and what mm-hmm. you might do. So it's nice to have that support and that kind of relationship with someone.
Well, and you grew up, right? Like you grew up over that time, right? I mean, you were so young when you met. And like you said, for some people, it works and they make it work, or it just does. But I think for a lot of people, there's so much growing up that happens between 20, 30. I mean, our whole lives really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We underestimate that, we underestimate that we're still always growing. Like 40 to 50 is totally different. 30 to 40 is totally different. And I can't imagine, because you have a son that's 21. I have a daughter that's 21. That'd be like her getting married right now. And I'm like, there's no way in hell.
No, it scares the hell out of me. I'm like, I had a kid when I had him when I was 22. Yeah. I can't imagine him having a child. I have a almost 4-year-old and I don't want to be a grandma. Sorry. I'm dealing with my own little one. I don't need to have that title added into the mix. So please just take your time. Just live your youth and enjoy it. Cause I got to live my youth basically in my 30s.
Yeah.
I reverted back. I had that fun time. I pretended like I was in college. I still act like I'm in college. As long as I'm young here, everything's good.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the little one. So with the gap, you have a son that's
Yeah.
21, a son that's 15, a son that's 4. I mean, so you have quite the, you know, stretch that just when you
Yeah.
thought, you know, you were through the thick of it, then
Mhm.
the other one's going through it. And now you've got a
Yep.
little bit of a break. Well, as soon as the 15-year-old gets a little older, and then
Yeah.
you're going to hit those teenage years again. What has been really refreshing about it? And then what's also been really challenging about it?
I would say the starting over has been challenging just because we were able to go and do whatever we want every other weekend. We didn't have to worry about babysitters. They were at their dad's,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But, it's really been worth it because Ashton, my middle one, has always asked for a baby brother or sister. It's just that, like, he's got that caring, nurturing personality. So when he was 11, we told him that we were pregnant with the youngest, and he just lit up. He has been the best
Aw.
big brother. He babysits him all the time.
That's
Like wants to put him to bed, wants to play. His teenage
Aw.
friends come over to the house and they take him outside and play football. They treat him like their own. Like me, my brother was 2 years younger. I didn't want to have anything to do with him.
Oh no. Yeah. No.
So it's nice that they're all like, they all think it's like just this little friend and they all include him. And it's been so nice to have. I mean, I know the gap is really strange, but going through toddler years and teenage years, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same shit.
100% agree,
Types of
right?
hormones,
Like,
developmental mood swings. It's the same shit. So one can kind of tell you what they want, and the other one kind of, but it's weird. It's so weird that they're the same person.
Yeah.
I
love
laugh
it.
so hard. I laugh so hard
That
at this, Heather, because I
comparison
have
is
a
fabulous.
15-year-old stepson, right? And then my son now is
Yeah.
almost 7. So a little, still a big age gap, but it
Yeah.
is odd and a little bit eerie, the similarities of the personality of the not listening and the just like in their old world, and just like it's really
Yes.
funny.
Yeah.
Heather,
It's
how
weird.
different was the gear? Like that's one of the things I think about, and just in the span between my girls, which is only 3 years, I remember the advancement in just baby equipment,
Yes.
baby gear. So how can you
Oh my
like
God.
how different was that the second time around?
It
Or
was
third time around?
wild. Well, first of all, like everything, it was different. I mean, unfortunately, we had a baby shower during COVID. He's a 2020 baby.
Yeah.
So I did not have a baby shower. We had a virtual shower, and they did as best they could.
Yeah.
My friends that put it together, but it was hard.
Yeah.
And in raising, so that's been the difference. Like there's a huge difference. I'll talk about the gear, but like with Ashton and Blake, we were out at restaurants 3 weeks old. They were sleeping in the car. They were sleeping in the restaurant. This one, oh no, he will only sleep at his home or at daycare. He barely slept in the car. We couldn't take him out. Like he just has FOMO. He
Yeah.
wants to be awake all the time. He wants to do what everyone's doing. So in that regard, COVID really messed all these little kids up.
Yeah. Well,
just
that's
with
everybody up a little bit, right?
Yeah. But the baby gear, like, are you kidding me? You have a bassinet that rocks itself to sleep. I can't afford that thing, but okay,
What's
sure,
it called?
go
It's like
with it.
$2,000.
Yes, you can rent them, and I'm like, no, we're good,
Yeah.
we're good. But they have the swing that vibrates and moves against crying, and like I'm like, what? Like the
Pretty soon
hatch,
they're gonna have
all
the
these
AI.
video monitor. Yeah,
They're
it's
gonna have
just
the AI robot that's like just like a
yeah,
virtual image of yourself, right? That's
yes,
basically
Totally.
taking care of your
They
child.
do
yeah,
that stuff for adults. I want a swing to
yeah.
rock me to sleep.
Me too. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Man, the big challenge was I did not breastfeed the other two.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was just young. Like, I'm like, wasn't for me. So I tried it with this one. It was great. And then he bit me and I'm like, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
We're out. Like we're out.
Breastfeeding is hard. I
It is
actually
so
thought it
difficult.
was, I still think it's harder than the actual labor and delivery. I mean, I was like, it sucks because you hurt and bleed and stuff for like, well, at least I did for like 6 weeks. I'm like, this is terrible.
And it's so like up and down, and it emotional. You're like, is he getting enough? Or, am I producing enough? Like, I got to do this, but I need to go do this. And you're just like, you're so tired.
Yeah.
I never had that like breakdown with the other two, but like the first like 9 days, I had a breakdown. I was like, this is too much.
It
And then
was
you
a
get
lot.
over it, but
I totally agree. I thought my nipple was gonna fall off and never come back
yeah,
on, like,
yeah,
ever.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It's
was like, nobody is touching me forever. I'm like,
yes, yes. Stay away, please, please.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about your current, we'll get into your career in a minute,
Yeah,
but let's talk about since we're kind of focused on family right now, your second marriage and how that came about and how your boys being older, were they accepting of that? Was that hard for them or?
I mean, Blake was, oh my gosh, he was around 11.
Mhm.
So he was in that preteen stage. Ashton was 5, 6. He was in kindergarten. So, I mean, I did not introduce Ryan to the boys for a while. I mean, he knew of them. He knew I was a mom. And you can't hide that stuff. That's something that you wouldn't want to hide anyway. So in the beginning, we were just hanging out, having a good time. You know, I was fresh off separation, going through a divorce. I moved out on my own, literally for the very first time in my entire life. I was 30 something years old, living on my own. So we just took every day, one day at a time. We didn't rush into anything. We didn't even say I love you until like a year or a yearish in, because we didn't know what was going. I was still in the middle of a divorce. So I think Ryan met the two boys probably 7 or 8 months in, and that's because my ex had moved across the parking lot to another apartment complex in the same building in the same complex, because it worked. For going back and forth, and it was great. And you know, oh, there's someone's truck in the driveway at 8 o'clock in the morning. What's happening? I'm like, oh, please don't come over here. Like, leave me alone. I'm an adult. So I mean, they're good. They, you know, there's a difference when, I guess, Kyle is not really, he hasn't really dated much and he doesn't have anybody. So they don't get the girl's side, the new woman in dad's life. So they only get the stepdad thing. And Ryan's been so amazing with them. I mean, every blended, I guess, step family has their things they go through, and boys are always like, I want to protect my mom, but I think they see that Ryan really takes care of me and wants, you know, he values me. He's always pushing me, and I think that helps with that type of relationship building with stepkids. So
Awesome.
Yeah, we had a guest on the show a couple months ago who wants to write a book about being step families, and she's like, the good, the bad, the ugly. She's like, there's a lot of crap we go through and nobody talks about it, and so she wants to write a book about it. So yeah, we might have to
awesome for her. No, that's amazing. Good for her, because there is a lot of stuff, and it's not perfect, and it's not Brady Bunch. It's not, you know what I mean? At all. I mean, there's always going to be, especially teenage years, there's going to be headbutts and, you know, you're not my dad, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Just listen and be respectful. That's what we ask of you. That's what he, you know, and that's what you should ask of him. And that's how, you know, respect and relationships work. So
yeah, the Brady Bunch kind of fucked us up, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I used to think
no
about,
one's perfect. Stop.
Yeah, like how cool would that be to all of a sudden have 3 like new like buddy siblings, right? You know,
right?
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
There really was never that much drama on the show when you think back to it.
No.
Like, I don't know.
There were shenanigans.
Yes.
And
lots
they were
of
like
shenanigans.
Yeah.
So while all this is going on, being a mom, raising kiddos, what were you doing career-wise? Where were you working? What were you doing to help sustain, you know, financially?
Oh man. I was working for a real estate development company. So Anthem, Colorado, up there in Erie. I was working for the developer of that. I actually left there to go for a restoration company with my brother. I did that for a couple years, and they closed their doors and let us go over text message, which was super freaking cool.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me? You don't have the balls to call me and let us know what's going on. Oh, you sent me a text message. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that shit?
That's crazy.
And then you want to give me a hug when you give me my last check? No, thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out.
Jenny, you're in HR. How bad is that?
Oh, it's bad. That's real bad. I mean, I mean, you see people going on LinkedIn and showing like one girl, and I was like, girl, you should not have done that. She videoed, and it was actually a video call of the company
I
letting
saw
her
that.
go. Yeah. And honestly,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think she should have published it.
You
It didn't make
posted
her
it?
look very good, to be
No.
honest, because then she started saying, well, why does so-and-so still have their job? And I'm like, that's just like, so I felt like she really did a disservice to herself.
For sure.
But organizations laying off over Zoom, and I get it. Like there are logistical challenges, but as much as you can, coming in from a kind and compassionate and like, this is life-changing for people. So text message is absolutely off the table for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what year was that?
That was in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2017. I'm like, well, what the heck am I going to do?
Yeah.
Luckily Ryan and I had already were living together, which was great. So we were great with what we had. We're renting in a townhome over in Westminster, and he picked up the slack. I started working for a really good friend of mine, Lexi White. I've known her since high school. She's a real estate agent. I just was working part-time as an assistant for her. And then I came across this opportunity at Country Financial, but it was an assistant role, which I've done my entire life. I've been like executive assistant, that type of role. And so this one opened up, and it was a good friend of mine. His brother was the agency manager at the time. So I interviewed, they hired me, and I've been here since 2018.
Okay.
And then that manager left in the end, the last part of 2021, and a new manager came in. And I had not worked for a female manager for a very long time.
Yeah.
And she came in, and she has been what I've needed. She's like the best. She's not a manager. She's a coach. She's a leader. She's a friend. Like, she's like, let me grow. She sees what I can do. And she let me take my position to where I was done. Like, I hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, there's this rep that's leaving, and we both think you should take over her spot. And I'm like, I don't know about the selling part, like that security of having that. Here's when you come in, here's your paycheck, that just reliability. But there's more, like, I like getting out and talking to people and networking and doing that. And I'm like, all right, well, now's the chance to try and, put my big girl pants on and get out there and become a badass business owner. So I took
Heather,
the
you're
leap
already a
October.
badass mom. So, it all goes together, right?
It's just like, it's weird though, like trying to do, like, get my son, my oldest one, trying to figure out his life, because he's 21. He's trying to figure out his life, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm like studying for my life and health test. My husband's trying to get his general contracting license. So it's like, you can do all these things and be a parent and go have fun with your friends, and still, it's weird. It's like a balancing act. But yeah, I took the plunge, and now I'm like running my own agency, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but that's the point. We're all learning at the same time, right? So
we all figure it out. And even when we
it's
don't,
awesome. It's fun. It's fun. So.
Well, what you said about your boss, that's what leadership should be, right? And we're all, when you have one, like when you have a leader like that, it should be the norm. And instead it's the standout that you remember, because you're like, oh, I've never had this before. So that's so awesome. And I will say that this sounds so terrible, but I was like afraid. You hear all these terrible stories about women working with women. And early in my career, I was terrified to have a female boss. And I will tell you, I have been blessed to have so many amazing women in my life through my career. And some of them are my best friends, including former bosses. Some of them are my best friends today. So I love that.
Yeah, that's Jenny, that's the biggest part.
Remember the post that we talked about that one time? We were talking about Jenny. Go back to the LinkedIn. Jenny had brought up a post one time of someone she saw that was like, you should never be like best friends or friends with your coworkers. And that's absolutely ridiculous.
It actually like made me mad, because I was like, if you don't know them as a person, and honestly, if you have a friendship with them, sometimes it's easier to come with constructive feedback and things like that, because me as an employee, I know you care about me. You care about me, and you care about my well-being and me getting better, right? So you're going to come from a place of care and concern. But yeah, two of my former bosses are two of my closest friends. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the relationship that we've built over the last, I guess, almost 2.5 years since she's been the manager up here. It's crazy. Like I came into her office and I said, okay, I've thought about it. I am going to take the position. And we both cried. Because I'm not working with her day in, day out, every day. Is like, we made an awesome team, but now she gets to guide me and help me through this next stage and be there to support and bounce ideas off. And, she's just been amazing. So I'm super blessed to have her. And I think everyone else here is too.
Yeah. And kudos to her for, that's the other thing is, as a leader, you have to be willing to and ready to help your employee like fly to the next opportunity, right? And you should be proud of them. And what's interesting is I've worked with leaders who, and I would say they're probably not leaders, they're managers who have stifled that and said, well, they're a really good worker. I can't afford to lose them. I'm like, okay, you have two choices. You can lose them externally to another company, or you can keep them within the same organization and help support them.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, good for her and good for you.
And I would think that also having a female, boss or manager, it's just there's so much more relatable, I think, to life. Not to say that men aren't relatable in that respect, but if you have to go get your child early from daycare or school, or if there's more mom power there, and not to even say that she may or may not be a mom, but more female power in the sense of just understanding and realization of the lives that we live as women. So I think that's really cool.
Well, I think, Jenny, to your point, if you don't get to know those people on a personal level, you don't understand, what makes them tick, what actually, gives them passion about, it's their family, but then you're here working because you want to support their family. So it's like when those people take those times off to go do, like PTO, or you have to go to a doctor's appointment, or they have to leave early. They're not like leaving you high and dry. And a lot of managers are like, you're taking too much time off, blah, blah, blah. But it's those ones that aren't micromanagers that know when you're here, you're getting your shit done.
Exactly.
And that's what matters. And if you have to take a little bit of time, you got to take a little bit of time, but you're going to make it up somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that gives me a flashback, Heather. I remember one of the times, and we haven't seen each other that much over the years, but I remember when you were pregnant and we met and we went for a walk, and I think you were working at a company. I'm not sure which one at the time, but I do remember it being somewhat demanding and you being really kind of on an hourly, I have to be there at this time. I have to leave at this time. And that being, hard no matter what, right? Like I've never been a very scheduled person myself, so hence probably why I've always been like an entrepreneur or working for flexible companies. Because I'm just not the person that's like check in at 8, leave at 5, right? And so although being an entrepreneur or having your own thing is a little bit more financially stressful at times, like Jenny and I've talked about this so much, the sanity and the just mental wellness and physical wellness that you can allow yourself is so much. It outweighs all the financials that you potentially could be making.
And I'm learning that part. Like, okay, if I want to go to the gym at 9:00 after I drop off the kids, I can do that. But my brain is like still wired to the 8 to 5, got to be, doing my thing. So for me, previously, I would go to the gym every day at lunch. I need to get back and scheduling it on my calendar and having that as like a date. Nope, you drop it, you go do your thing, get your, get all your energy, from back, get your mental health back up there. So it's great in the flexibility part, but also like I went, a couple weeks ago to St. Louis for a wedding. I didn't bring my computer and I had my assistant, but I was like, I really need to, I need to turn off, but I don't want to turn off because it's like, it's me, it's my business now. So it's that mindset has changed. So it's very strange. I don't turn it off at night now.
You're like, we're so programmed, right? So, I mean, I work for myself now and have completely worked for myself for the last year. I have a business partner, but I mean, we can call the shots, right? I still feel like I need to be in front of my computer. So I don't know, when does that go away? Like, I also remember there was a guy I worked at a company for several years in the HR capacity. And there was a guy that came in every day. He wore a suit and tie. He made sure he was there 5 minutes before the big boss got in. And he made sure he left 5 minutes after the big boss came in. And we joked about him because he literally was reading the paper at his desk, but because his butt was in the chair,
Seat time.
like there's that button seat mentality. And it's like, it is not
Yes.
about if you are sitting at your desk, it is about what you are accomplishing, you know?
Yes. And what you're bringing to that company and your role and the people around you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's so
yeah.
funny you say that. It takes me back to like when I got out of college and I had like a real job, you know, and there was that like, okay, well, I need to be here at this time, and you know, like I need to make sure I'm in my like it's just I mean, obviously and times have changed a lot from then.
Oh yeah.
But I still believe, unfortunately, there are a lot of companies that people still have that thought where they're like, oh, well, I have to be there and I have to, and it's you know, I'm glad it's changing, but it is like rewiring our thought process.
I worry about the return to the office. I mean, honestly, I'm skeptical. You know, they all say, oh, it's for collaboration, and maybe a little bit of it is, but I really feel like it's a button seat mentality. Like if we don't see you, we don't know you're working.
Yep.
And I just don't subscribe to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a few in our industry that have that. My assistant works remotely. She's in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
She's got 2 kids.
Yeah.
She's single mom. One of them's autistic and diabetic, so a little extra special needs. But she wants to come in, like to get out of her house, to get out of those 4 walls, like at least a day a week. I talk to her, you know, you can do that. You just have to give them the ability and, you know, trust that it can be done.
And it can be more challenging as a leader. You have to be a strong leader to be able to do it, because you can't be lazy, because you have to be, you know, proactive and talking and connecting. But yeah, I think that we've got to figure out a way to do it, because I also don't think that this next, you know, group of kids that are coming into the workforce they might want to go in the office for, you know, on their own accord, like from time to time, but they're going to have the option to be like, I'm not working for a company that makes me come in this many days or this time to this time.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
I definitely think, like you said, Jenny, there is this trend of companies, you know, they're starting with the hybrid, like, hey, come on back, we're doing a hybrid. But you know, what's the long-term goal of that?
Yeah.
Then like, you're 2 days a week now in office. Oh, guess what? Next year it's 3.
Yeah. Yes. And guess what? Now it's done. Like,
you know, the boiling frog, you know, do you know the boiling frog story?
It's
like you put a frog in a pot of warm water and you just increase it like a degree at a time, a degree at a time, a degree at a time. And the next thing you know, the frog is like, it doesn't notice that the water is getting hotter and hotter. And eventually it like cooks the frog.
And he's dead.
And so it's like, you make these tiny little changes to employees so they don't notice, you know? So to your point, Lori, it's like, oh, we'd love it if you come in. And then it's like, oh, come in 2 days a week. Oh, how about 3 days a week? And then it's going to be, we're going to boil a frog. Like it's going to be 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and people are going to be pissed.
Yep.
Burnt out.
Jump ship.
Yeah. So Heather, let's go back to your younger self. You know, one of the questions we like to ask is, if you could go back to your younger self, you know, what advice would you give, knowing what you know now?
Man. God, there's a lot of things. Well, I would say I should have stuck out gymnastics and went for a scholarship instead of failing because some coach was a jerk and made me scared. So I think that molded a lot of my decisions because, okay, you're scared and this person's an ass. So, okay, bye, I quit. I mean, that's the first part. Or, you know, I only went to college for a semester. I got in the workforce. I had to start, you know, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. My dad had MS. My mom was our sole provider. So she took care of him. She took care of us, you know. And at that point, it's like, I'm not going to put myself or my mom in debt to go to school. I'm just going to go out there and get experience.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a lot of it. Like the more experience you have in anything, the further in life you're going to get you. No degree is going to get you somewhere. You're just going to be paying out that thing forever. So, you know, that, and, you know, just enjoy your youth. Quit wanting to be an adult because it sucks. Like being an adult sucks. So let's just be honest about it. Like quit wishing your youth away, you know? Like enjoy it while you have it, because it goes by way too fast.
It goes by in a blink of an eye.
My daughter, she turned 18 and I told her she had to make her own doctor's appointments. I was like, you need to do this now. And she goes, nobody told me being an adult was so lame.
Well,
like, just the start of it, honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's the only thing you have to do right now, you got it good. You got it good.
Well,
Yeah.
and we spend so much of our time, I think when you're younger and, Heather and I knew each other when we were, what, 15, 16, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. We
wanting to
did a
be
lot of
older.
weird things together.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, weird shit for sure. But like, there was no social media. So those weird,
No.
all the crazy shit we did,
Yeah.
nobody knows.
It was not online. Yeah, we had lots and lots of fun, and we were very good at keeping it from our parents at the time.
Yeah.
Our trip to Arizona was a blast with our bosses from the roller rink. Like we had some fun.
Crazy ass times. But that's the difference, right? But when you're younger and you're 15, 16, you spend so much time wanting to be older, wanting to be married, wanting to have kids, wanting to have a house. And then when you get there, you're like, I want to go back to not having responsibilities. I want to go back to not being, so on, what's the word? Just always having to be on. Like, I just want to go back to having fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can still do that now. You can still have fun and be, a responsible adult, which is fine. You can balance that out. I guess it's, going back and wanting to be my younger self. It's try to push that and show our kids that, okay, this is what we want now. Try just I know you don't want to listen to us. I know, but we're just trying to, put some thoughts in your ears and let it rattle around a bit and sink in. That's basically what I'm trying to tell them right now.
You just hope that little bits of it get through, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Little bits.
Just tiny bits.
So with the new position, Heather, obviously that's exciting, but what else are you excited for coming up, right? Like, I mean, you have all these exciting steps coming up with your little one, all the school that you've already gone through with your older ones. You're about ready to embark on the kindergarten and the whole journey again. What are you most excited for, mom-wise and in career-wise and just life-wise?
I mean, mom-wise, I'm excited to be a hockey mom again.
Welcome back to the club. It's so fun. I love it.
It's been, oh my gosh, I think 16 or 17 is when Blake was done, really. He plays beer league now. My husband plays beer league, whatever. But I cannot wait for Carter to start playing hockey. Or any sports. Like, I'm sports mom. I'm basically a hockey mom through and through. But all of my village, all my hockey moms that my kids grew up with, that are my best friends, they are wanting to be the hockey aunties. They cannot wait to do it all because everyone's in college. They're all playing junior. They're all out of the house. And I have like 10 hockey moms that are like, we can't wait to go back out there anytime for Carter. I'm like, great, because I'm not going to travel all the time. You guys want to go? You guys
right,
go.
exactly.
Take him. So that's like a big thing. I'm not looking forward to Carter starting kindergarten and Ashton having his senior year the same year.
Oh God, yeah.
I thought about that. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be a mess that day.
Yeah. Maybe can you start him 1 year later?
I know. He's too smart though.
I know.
He's too dang smart for his own good. I mean, watching him grow, watching the boys grow up and, really loving on their little brother and taking that a little bit of like responsibility of being the big brother and showing them what it's all about. That's awesome. I guess Ryan and I just having a blast together.
Yeah.
Well, that's the biggest part. Like, he's my biggest cheerleader and he's my biggest supporter. So, which is awesome. And vice versa. We balance each other really well. We have a good time. So that's good. And then I guess professionally, really taking this on, like I have a passion for helping people. Mm-hmm. And I know that people think insurance is like, we're just the big jerks out there trying to take your money. But for me, it's just educating and letting them know, no, but I want to protect you. I want to protect your family. I want to protect your kid, like everything. Yeah. And, really taking this to a next level and being, an awesome agency, just taking this over by storm. And there's a lot of women reps in our agency that I look up to. They've been doing this for years and years and years. And I kind of want to, follow in their footsteps and keep it going and learn from them. And then just go. Like, I don't know. I'm excited about it. It's new to me. So we'll see how it goes.
That's the biggest part, right? I mean, we can feel your excitement. And I think that's super great because I mean, how many people do you talk to that are that excited about their jobs?
Yeah, like, I know. When I ask people if they like their job, usually you get a hesitation for just a couple seconds. And then they'll say, yeah. And I'm like, the second they hesitate though, I'm like, no, you don't. Like, I'm like, you don't like your job.
Don't
If
lie.
you hesitate, you don't like your job.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's true.
I mean, there's always bits and pieces that you don't like about it, but overall, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's fun.
So I have to ask you, how has your approach to parenting changed from the older kids to your little guy?
Oh, if you ask my husband, I'm just a huge pushover.
Yeah.
He's the hard ass. It's his first kid. So he's the hard ass. We're trying to like meet in the middle. I'm trying to do a better job of not being as big of a pushover as I am. But I'm like, oh, look at him. He's so cute. Yeah, you can have a cookie. You know, I'm trying, and all these new podcasts right now, like Big Little Feelings, I love them. They're fantastic. They're based in Denver. So they're really cool. Like it's like gentle parenting.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you have to have a gentle kid to parent. He's not quite gentle. So we have a mix of old school and new school.
Yeah.
And
that's actually, I want to touch on that really quick. That's really, you know, and I knew that, I just hadn't brought it up. So this is your husband's first child, and obviously your third.
Yeah.
I mean, in addition to what you just spoke about, how has that really kind of just been interesting? I mean, like,
it's super fun because he's super engaged.
Oh,
he's engaged in every single thing. Like, even when he was born, he'd be in there, he'd change diapers, he'd help out all the nights when we weren't sleeping, we'd take off. I didn't have that previously.
Yeah.
It was me. I was dragging my little one that was 3 months old at 5:30 in the morning, taking the other one to hockey. And everyone's looking at me like, what? Where's your husband? Where's dad? Why isn't the baby? Like, I was like, we're not getting into it. So anyway, like having that support and watching him grow as a dad, it's awesome. Like, he's like the best. He was the best uncle, but now he's just the best dad. So watching that relationship grow and seeing the love between the two, that makes me happy.
Oh yeah.
That's super.
There's nothing like that. That's so cool.
Absolutely not. It's amazing.
Do you want to leave any words of advice to our listeners? Like, I like to call it mom advice, of just like, you know, if you could sum it up thus far in your world, and there's lots of momming to do, but you know, anything that you would say, like, well, like you said before, just, you know, being there for your kiddos, but anything else that stands out?
Be there for yourself. You can't take care of them unless you're happy. So take the time, go and have your brunch with your girlfriends. Don't feel guilty. I see, like, I have one of my friends that her kid is, she'll be 2 in July. She will not leave that baby. She's very hesitant and leaving for one night.
Yeah.
Very controlled. Like, I was like, go, you need to still be yourself, to take, you know, that you're a good version of you, to be the good version of yourself for your child. So always make sure that, you know, you were here first.
Yeah.
And don't feel guilty about doing things for yourself, because then you can have more to give back to your kids.
Absolutely. And what she doesn't see yet, but she will, is the second that kiddo goes off into school, then she has to figure out what the hell to do with herself. And she's now lost herself. And it can go all the way up to, you know, they immerse themselves in the child's life or being with the child, and then the kid goes off to college and they're lost. You know, so it's so, I think what you're saying is so important for people to remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then go on your dates
with your others. Yeah, don't lose your identity, and please take care of, you know, go on dates.
And your kids want to see who you are, not just you know, how you are with them, but like who you are as a person.
Exactly. Right? Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
That's awesome. I love that advice. Heather, I mean, I love your story of being a mom, just because it's unique, but it's not unique. You know, it's different. It's different eras of raising your children. It's different experiences. It's, you know, a blended family. I think it's so relatable to so many families that I think it's an awesome story to share. And I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us and share that with our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. Got me out of my comfort zone.
Good. Well, thank you. It's been such a pleasure.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.